on the street has the same worth, the same value as a human life. We do not go to either extreme. No, instead we say we were put on this earth for a reason, with a defined purpose. And we are not, indeed, we are not external to nature. We are part of it. We are from khalqillah. We are from Allah's creation. And because of that, we have certain obligations, certain responsibilities to other human beings and also to the rest of Allah's creation. And that includes the wildlife and that includes the animal life. We are obligated to treat them with mercy, to treat them with compassion. We all know the story of the man who was awarded paradise for his act of mercy to the dog, the thirsty dog in the desert, the dying dog in the desert. For this one act of mercy, he was awarded paradise. So we do indeed have an obligation. Ultimately, the human being, the human life, is the life with which we are most concerned with preserving. But that does not mean that we neglect, selfishly ignore the rights that the rest of creation has upon us. The rest of creation has rights upon us. And when we ignore that right, when we neglect that right, then we are transgressing against ourselves. We are from among the oppressors. We are transgressing against ourselves. And we transgress against ourselves because we have lost the ability to limit our desire. And that is really what is at the heart of the ecological and environmental devastation that we witness around us today. It is an extension of that loss of self-control, of that loss of discipline, of the loss of balance. Allah created everything with a balance, including ourselves, and we have disturbed that balance. And what we see before us and around us and above us and beneath us is the result of disrupting that balance. There's an idea in Eastern philosophies, this is an idea that you'll find in Buddhism, that the root of all suffering, the root of suffering is desire. The reason why we suffer is because we want things, we desire things. And so the solution, their proposed solution is what? Get rid of the desire. If your desires, if your wants are what are torturing you, then just get rid of them. Get rid of your wants. Get rid of your desires. If wanting food and wanting water and wanting wealth and wanting fame and wanting status and wanting acceptance and wanting peace and wanting serenity is what's torturing you, then just get rid of that desire. That's their view. And of course, this is not the standpoint of our tradition. Our wants, our desires, they are natural. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with these desires. And He gave us the means to satiate them. He gave us the means to fulfill them. So we are not supposed to suppress and destroy these desires, to pretend that they're not there, that they don't exist. If you try to stamp them down, they'll pop up somewhere else, and often in a more vicious form. So no, desire, the fact of desire is not wrong. The fact of desire is not sinful. Ultimately, though, it is what we do, it is how we channel and how we express that desire. And if we do not do it properly, they will consume us. We will be consumed, we'll be cannibalized by our own desire. And the truth and the lesson that we have learned so many times but need to keep relearning is that every desire naturally has its limits. So when we say we need to limit our desires, that's not impossible. That's not difficult. In fact, that's inevitable. It should be inevitable. Limiting our desires. Because they naturally have limits. They naturally have limits. Whenever we fulfill our desires beyond their limits, we end up regretting it. They become, rather than becoming sources of pleasure, they become sources of pain. when you break your fast in Ramadan? Why is it the sunnah? Why is it the sunnah to break the fast with a date or two and a small sip of water or a cup of water? Because any more than that, and you will regret it. So if you break your fast with not a date and a cup of water or a cup of milk, but rather 2 plates of rice and meat, you will regret it. You couldn't wait for it, and now your stomach, the pain that's inflicting upon you. Most of us have experienced this at least once, or more likely many times. So that is the sunnah. Restraint is the sunnah. And again, this applies to everything else. You want to sleep. You sleep too much, you don't feel rested anymore. You want to eat. You eat too much, you don't just feel full. You feel like you're going to vomit. You play too much, and so you either ran too much or sat too long, and now your body hurts. Whenever you want something, if you get too much of it, you regret it. We see this pattern over and over again. And this is what's playing out now on the ecological scale all across the earth. We want to sustain this lifestyle where we have access to endless food and endless water and endless entertainment and whatever else it may be. And it has come at the cost. It has come at the cost of the world that Allah blessed us with. And so we regret it. It has become excessive. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, in his sunnah and everything that he did, there was always this quiet dignity, this quiet restraint. When he made wudu, he wasn't taking a shower. When he ate, what was the sunnah? A third for water, a third for food, and a third for breathing, just for the act of breathing. That was his example. And so Allah has given us everything that we need. It's not that we're running out of resources. I mean, that's what you hear all the time now. Resource scarcity. If we're not careful, we're going to overpopulate the earth. We're going to run out of food, and we're going to run out of water. We're going to run out of the resources that we need to live a comfortable life, or even just to live, period. And the truth is, if we indeed observed the proper limits, the natural limits of our desire, we wouldn't run out of anything. Allah will provide. The resources will be abundant. And we are commanded to eat and enjoy these resources. They have been provided for us for that reason. So when we observe, and this is the paradox, when we observe the limits of our desires, the resources become unlimited. When we limit ourselves, we have everything that we need. This is the natural order. This is the natural harmony that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established for us. And it's only when we transgress that boundary that we begin to worry about shortages. And what an absurd sight it is to worry about running out, about shortage, when we have brothers and sisters all around the world who don't have anything. They don't have anything. And so the cost of our abundance has been impoverishment for others. And so again, when we observe the natural limit of our desires, we will have whatever we desire. It is indeed that simple. But we live now in an age where the paramount value is growth. Any organization, non-profit, company, corporation, doesn't matter who you are, the priority, the fixation is always on how can we grow? We need to grow. We need growth. Every quarter, we need to see how much we've grown. How many followers, how many subscribers, how many customers, how many consumers. Do we have more? More. And there is no sense, there is no understanding that maybe eventually there will come a time when you don't need to grow anymore. When you've grown enough, when you've taken enough. So again, we've lost this understanding of our natural limits. So we need to keep growing. And while we continue fixating on growing, our resources shrink, the earth's resources shrink, and our own souls and our connection with the divine, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shrinks as well. That is the cost of growth without limit, of growth without restraint, of growth without understanding. And it is ultimately those who are wasteful, who are in excess, who are, Allah tells us in the Quran, who are the brothers of the shaitan. إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانُوا إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينَ. Those who are excessive, those who are wasteful, they are the brethren, they are the kin of the shayateen. And that is the ultimate ingratitude. وَإِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ كَانَ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. And shaitan indeed was to his Lord ungrateful. And that is what excess is. It is the ultimate ingratitude for what we have. To take more than we need and to leave others to have nothing, there is no greater ingratitude than that. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam thumma ma ba'd. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I will conclude with this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if the trumpet is called, for that day, for the day of resurrection, and you have in your hand a sapling, you have in your hand a seed, then plant that sapling, right? Plant that seed. And we are told elsewhere as well that any tree that we plant, any fruit that it yields, and anyone who is able to go under its shade and enjoy that shade, you will receive the reward for that. And what a beautiful affirmation of mercy and hope are these ahadith. That we can provide the shade that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for us on the day that there is no shade. On the day when the sun is just a mile above our heads and we are up to our waists in sweat, there will be those for whom Allah has provided that shade. And when we properly observe our relationship with each other and with Allah's creation, with the world around us, we also provide that shade. That shade ultimately is an act of mercy. It is the ultimate mercy to provide someone relief from that oppressive, stifling heat. That relief is a mercy. And the Prophet, peace and blessing upon him, tells us to do this, to plant that sapling even when there's no time left. It takes a tree 30, 40, 50 years to truly grow. Doesn't matter. The hour is upon us. Time is up. And yet the Prophet, peace and blessing upon him, still tells us to plant that seed. So there is no greater affirmation of the need for this mercy, for this investment in the future, for this investment in each other, and for this care for creation than this. To plant a seed, to plant the sapling, even when time is up, even when life is over, do so anyways. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all from among the people who can do this. May Allah make some people from among those who can have mercy upon each other. Make us from among those who provide shade for each other, and make us from among those who are under Allah's shade on the day in which there is no shade. اللهم ادخلنا جنته ونجنا من النار اللهم ادخلنا جنته ونجنا من النار اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا واسوافنا في امرنا وثبت اقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك قريب مجيب الدعوات. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الكريم. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين؟ أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين؟ الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد، الله الصمد، لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. This is just a reminder that tomorrow, 10:30, tomorrow Saturday at 10:30 a.m., we will have a meeting for anyone who is interested in bringing his kids to in the masjid homeschooling. If you have any questions, if you need any clarification, inshallah, tomorrow at 10:30 we will be here to address this subject. جزاكم الله كل خير.
توفيت إلى رحمة الله تعالى الحاجة فاطمة أبو زيد جدة كل من الإخوة جهاد ونور ويوسف الشماع. ندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى اللهم اغفر لها وارحمها وعافها واعف عنها وأكرم نزولها ووسع مدخلها واغسلها من خطاياها بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقيها من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. جازها يا رب بالحسنات إحسانا وبالسيئات عفوا وغفرانا واغفر لها ولموتى المسلمين أجمعين. وصلي اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
أول يوم رمضان علي ساكن جنبك من فوق رحت أول يوم رمضان يا أحمد رحت أول يوم رمضان الشخص الجاي الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله وفين الشيخ سيد أخوه هو ده لبس الشال زي ده لبس الشال زي طول عمرك شايف